Hello, welcome to the vlog. Thank you for joining me. Today is going to be the third and final video in a series of videos I've done on the General James A. Van Fleet State Trail. This particular trail section starts at the Bay Lake trailhead and goes north about 9 miles to State Road 50, where the trail ends at a town called Mabel. From what I remember, I've only ridden this particular stretch once before, and it was several years ago. But from what I remember, it wasn't swampy, even though we're still in the green swamp. It wasn't necessarily swampy. I remember it being more forested, a lot of pine trees, a lot of oak trees, more sandy soils, things of that nature. I had 3 turkeys just walk past me as I was preparing to shoot this introduction, so hopefully that's a good sign of things to come. So hopefully this will be a good outdoor adventure, and let's go have some fun. And here they are. I was getting ready to set up the scene to shoot it, and some movement out of the corner of my eye. I look over, and these 3 lovely ladies come walking out of the woods out for a morning stroll. Oh, gosh. And yes, that is where the phrase pecking order comes from. As I mentioned in the intro, this section of the trail goes 9 miles north, ending in the town of Mabel. Established in 1894, Mabel was named after the daughter of the founding postmaster, J.P. Phelps. The town had its own sawmill and was known for making wooden fruit baskets called bean hammers. Once the trees were harvested, smaller tracts of land were sold to individuals for the purposes of farming. Good morning. I've stopped at one of those little roadside rest stops that they provide. I'm only like not even a quarter mile up the trail, but I wanted to show you the terrain I'm in right now. Still is a bit swampy. I mean, you see there's quite a few ferns, but there are also palmetto scrubs. So it is definitely making the transition away from swamp into a more forested area. If you saw my other 2 videos on the Van Fleet Trail, you'll recognize the high visibility spray paint as marking dangerous or uneven spots on the trail. As it turns out, this stretch of the trail, though, is actually in pretty good condition. Out in the middle of nowhere, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm just a couple miles up the trail. One thing I've already noticed quite clearly is that if you look to the east, there's quite a bit of open ground, open pasture lands, quite probably ranches, cattle ranches, things of that nature. But then when you pan around, here's the trail looking northward. Everything on the western side of this trail has been just heavily forested, which makes sense because like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure this trail marks the eastern border of either Croom Reserve or the Withlacoochee State Forest or something like that. It's whatever it is, it's federal or state protected land. So it is left in a natural forested state. I passed over a number of these little bridges on this section of the trail. There was no water under any of them, but obviously they were there to facilitate water flow from one side of the trail to the other. So here I am at the border between Sumter and Lake County. As you could hear, Bob white quail are calling in the forest not too far from me. And high power lines that are going down the county line. Beautiful morning, although it is very humid. Yeah, that'll put you on the ground in a hurry. Yes, they do. Oh, yeah, the middle section from Green Pond to Bay. So this is the northern terminus of the Van Fleet State Trail. This is the Mabel trailhead. And again, you can see the trailheads aren't much. There's a picnic area, there's a bathroom. This one has water, place to park. And this information kiosk. And I hope this comes through. This is a map of what I just did. Started here. You are here. And I was commenting about private land versus public owned. Well, it turns out this is the Rich Loam Wildlife Management Area. Up here, here's the Sumter Lake County line. And then over here is the Withlacoochee State Forest. So all this is protected land, which is why it was so heavily forested. Okay, well, I'm at the northern end of the trail. I'm going to shoot this video a little differently because about halfway up the trail, I fell in with another rider and we got to yakking. And at some point in time, the battery in the camera died and I didn't even notice it, which is too busy flapping my gums. So I only shot half the video so far. So we ended up going to the end of the trail, which is right up there, talked for a while. He left, ran in with somebody else, started talking with him, ran into a third guy. Anyway, it's been about an hour or more. So I need to get back on the trail, got a fresh battery in the camera. And now I'm going to ride that away. That's south. Get some footage in here. One thing I did notice is that the very northern part of this trail is much more swampy. Thankfully, we're finally starting to get some rains, but it's definitely a little swampier up in this area. But I was right. The western side of the trail is state forest, state run, and the eastern side, a lot of it, the land is privately owned. So you get a lot of open pasture, cattle farms, things of that nature. But anyway, I'm going to film some going back and get some footage of some of the swamps and some of the different landscapes. So that's one of the gentlemen that I just spent the past 20 minutes talking to. He's from Sarasota. So anyway, see you on the trail. So yeah, the guy that just rode past me, his name was Tim. He's a 70-year-old retiree who wants to move to Panama and live the expat lifestyle. The guy you saw earlier on the recumbent bicycle, he and I chatted all the way to the parking lot, mostly about the various trails that we've ridden in the area. And finally, while I was taking a break in the parking lot, another guy came jogging up the trail. Turns out he's in training for the Ironman that's going to take place in Augusta, Georgia. So good luck to him. Here's a big open area on the western side of the trail. All of that is swamp. It's all flooded. In the past week or so, this is the end of June, past week or so, we finally started having some rains. I don't know if it was dry before then. Probably not completely, but at least we are finally getting some rains back. But yeah, this end of the trail does have some swamp to it. So that's looking north. I'm coming back this way. And on either side of the trail are these ditches, drainage ditches, dug, I'm sure, way back when to provide for the rail bed. But what's kind of interesting is if you look closely, just how much water is not in the swampy areas. You can look and see the watermarks on the trees where the water normally is. And even though the rains have started and trees are green and things are growing, there's still a lot of water that is not, that is just plain not there. So here's something kind of interesting. You notice the trunks, the base of these trees are all charred. Well, some time ago, the land managers deliberately set a fire as a controlled burn to get rid of a lot of the buildup of fuel so that they would have one low fire instead of one really big out of control fire. I'm not good at estimating, but I'd say that was done last year, maybe even 2 years ago. There's a whole lot of regrowth. It could have even been longer ago than that. But you end up with a one low, manageable burn rather than treetop all-consuming, out-of-control wildfires. So I've made it back to the Bay Lake trailhead. It's about a little over 19 miles round trip. Beautiful trail. It's as forested as I remember it being, but the northern, say 3 or 4 miles, a lot swampier than I remember it being. And there was water in the swamp, even though it's still very, very dry. I can tell that the rains have finally started to fall because all the plants have a lot of nice emerald green new growth to it. So clearly Mother Nature has recently watered everything. This trail is out in the middle of nowhere. Even getting to the Bay Lake trailhead is kind of its own driving outdoor adventure. You are out in nowhere. But if you want to ride through the nature, this section of the trail and the Van Fleet Trail in general is a really good choice. Well, this one concludes the 3-part series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm glad you've came along with the outdoor adventures, and hope to see you out there.